Welcome back to the Bazaar Bulletin. My name's Ben,
No, Matt.
and we're here to talk to you about the ANZ competitive Magic scene. This week, we're going to talk about the best performing ANZ players at Spotlight Chiba, the system that underpins the Pro Tour player retention policy, and how the best ANZ players utilise that system to their advantage. But first, it's time to cut some cards from your standard deck.
Oh,
No? In case you missed it, on the 30th of June, 7 cards were banned from Standard.
this includes the prime culprit, Corey Steelcutter, but also cards from archetypes that would likely have filled the void in Cutter's absence. Count A big enough, Hopeless Nightmare, Up the Beanstalk, well as Awakening, Heartfire Hero, and of course, Monstrous Rage.
We're not going to cover what this means for the standard metagame, as these bannings have been extensively covered elsewhere.
Including by our very own Sam Loy, link below.
However, our quick opinions on this are that we're optimistic, that change is good, and we're excited to see what unfolds.
And of particular interest to us is this 4-week gap between those bannings and rotation. So we've got a very short-lived window to explore what this meta will look like, and it certainly won't be solved in that time.
For most ANZ players, the only competitive outlet in that period will be standard store championships, with a few very enticing Final Fantasy promos up for prizes, which will get some focus on the format.
Although, for our first-bid players, watch the end of the video for something with an even bigger prize pool coming up soon.
On to the results of Spotlight Chiba. While there's not a huge amount to talk about in terms of the meta, with both the bannings behind us and rotation in the near future, what we do get to do today is celebrate the 3 ANZ players who managed to finish in the top 128 of this 2,240 player tournament, earning themselves a Japanese foil cloud promo.
Michael Marucci, playing Is It Cauldron, Brennan Crawford with Omniscience, and host of this show, Dylan Kakawa, with Mono Red Aggro, all managed 11 wins, which was good for that required 128 finish to get the promo.
Wait, that's why they couldn't do this episode?
Falling just short of top 128, but still with very strong 10-win finishes, Trent Armstrong, Brent Gervin, and the best Australian Ben to play in Chiba, Ben Parker.
At 9 wins, Idai Watterson, Scott Aitchinson, and Riley Jones still had very positive records.
Unfortunately for Jennifer Rose Holloway, who finished day 1 with 8 wins, head into her worst matchup at the start of day 2, the dreaded taxi matchup. Fortunately, it all just went wrong from there. As I'm sure everyone watching this, the most natural path for a competitive ANZ player like ourselves to get to the Pro Tour via a top 10 finish at our regional championships. While there are some additional pathways that can be found through Premier, Arena, or Magic Online events, or by top 8ing a Spotlight series, this episode will expand on the qualification methods that can come from playing the Pro Tour itself.
For starters, as we touched on last episode, a record of 10 wins from the 16 rounds at a Pro Tour will automatically qualify you for the Pro Tour that immediately follows. What you're seeing on screen now is not every way one can qualify to the Pro Tour, but it is the ones most accessible to the average ANZ competitive player.
At this point, we need to provide a little bit more detail on adjusted match points, or AMPs. As the name suggests, these can be found by adjusting your match points, specifically by taking your match points at the end of each Pro Tour and subtracting 9.
You can't go negative.
And these AMPs last for a limited time, for 12 months from the time that you earn them, or 3 Pro Tours. If you have 39 or more AMPs, by the end of a Pro Tour, you're invited to that next Pro Tour.
To help explain, let's look at some of the top ANZ players who did well at Pro Tour Final Fantasy. At Pro Tour Final Fantasy, Jose earned 18 adjusted match points from his 27 match points, or 9 wins. And they were added to the AMP he earned at Pro Tour 8th Adrift and Pro Tour Modern Horizons 3, bringing his post-Final Fantasy total to 51 adjusted match points.
After Pro Tour Edge of Eternities, the 15 AMPs that Jose earned from Pro Tour Modern Horizons 3 will expire, meaning that to reach the 39 AMP threshold for qualification for Pro Tour Lore and Eclipse, Jose will need 3 adjusted match points, which he can get from just 4 wins.
For those playing along at home, 4 wins is also the threshold to make day 2 of the Pro Tour. So that's what Jose, as well as Zen, will be targeting initially in Atlanta.
Now, once Jose and Zen reach that 4-win threshold, their attention will turn qualifying for 2025 World Championships. In previous years, 42 AMP after the third Pro Tour of the year has been enough to qualify for those at-large spots. However, this year's race is looking pretty close, so a few extra points wouldn't go astray.
For Nathan, only the most exceptional of tournament finishers would qualify him for the Worlds. His focus will likely be on accumulating enough adjusted match points at Pro Tour Edge of Eternities to continue being invited back. For him, that magic number is 18 adjusted match points, or 9 match wins.
Now, but Ben, what could these 3 players do in Atlanta if they don't quite meet these thresholds?
Great question, Matt. Each MagicCon has a host of tournaments that can qualify a player directly to the Pro Tour, but each PT competitor at that tournament who hasn't already qualified gets to play in the world's hardest invite-only PTQ, made exclusively up of each of the other unsuccessful Pro Tour players. The top 4 and only the top 4 players from the Sunday Pro Tour qualifier will requalify for the next edition.
That sounds tough. Hey, one player who won't need to worry about those Sunday PTQ is Sean, having already locked up multiple Pro Tour invites through the AMP system, as well as his 12-4 finish at Pro Tour Final Fantasy, earning him that invite to Worlds. Now, Sean is actually in a completely different race. That's right, it's for the Player of the Year. He's currently sitting in 6th place on the leaderboard, and that means, with some strong finishes at the remaining 2 Premier events this year, he could be setting himself up for a slice of Magic history.
We'll explain more about the Player of the Year system in a later episode, but for now, just know that it is a separate system to the adjusted match points that strongly favours top 32 finishers, and Sean has 2 top 32 finishes so far this season.
2 from 2.
So, Matt, you mentioned something about Perth earlier?
Yeah, that's right, Ben. On Saturday, the 12th of July, Pat's MTG Bazaar and Beyond Odyssey Games and Hobby hosting WAtionals. First prize for this Australian 7-point Highlander tournament, Tropical Island. There's a host of other prizes to be won. Now, for details, check the link in the description below.
That's all for this episode, folks. Thanks for hanging out. And if you're enjoying this series, please let us know in the comments, like, and subscribe. And check out Pat's Facebook auctions, links below. See you next time.
Hey guys.